Hello, friends. I'm Petra, and I'm the owner and the writer of Theme Park Freak. If you are a regular reader of the website, you're likely to notice that I haven't been doing any ride guides or reviews or pieces about any of the Disney parks. When I first created Theme Park Freak, I wanted a place that people could go to get all the information about parks and rides. A lot of times the official sources don't have things such as restraints, whether a rider can take their bag, or disability information. They'll say that a wheelchair user has to transfer, but they don't usually provide any information on how to transfer if there's any aids. A lot of the parks will have information about sensory, but you have to go to another part of the website to find it, and it's often a PDF. So I thought that I would accrue all this information into one place to make it simple for you to do your research about the parks. One of the things that I didn't want to do when I started the idea of Theme Park Freak was cover politics and news. There's plenty of other content creators that do this, so I don't have to. I can focus on the things that are most interesting to you. However, because of what's going on with the DAS Pass for the US Disney parks and how Disney has been treating disabled people and the disabled community, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and create a video about this. Now, I know that in the grand content creator scheme of theme parks, I am very, very small. I haven't been doing a whole lot of content here on YouTube. I still don't really know what I want to do with my channel, but I have recently reached 1,000 page views on the website. So it's slowly growing, but it's still small. Anyways, I know that I'm not going to change Disney's mind. All I can do is put this video out into the world and offer my support to the disabled community, and know that by not covering Disney products, I'm trying to do my part. So let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video and the reason that I want to talk about it. So one of the things I'm not going to do in this video is talk about what the DAS Pass is or the recent changes. The reason for this is there's plenty of other people, once again, who have done this, and I'm going to put some links down below. If you really don't know, you can go and watch their videos. But what I want to tell you is my thoughts as someone who the ADA considers disabled, and also as the daughter of a 100% disabled veteran. So for years now, ever since I moved over to the Netherlands, my parents and I have been meeting up in Orlando for a couple weeks to do all the parks. Typically, we would do about 6 days of Disney, a day of Universal, and then go out to Kennedy Space Center. So, unfortunately, in between 2017 and our 2019 trip, my father was diagnosed with cancer. Luckily, this is a cancer associated with Agent Orange. It's a chemical that was sprayed across Vietnam during the Vietnam War. This particular cancer is entirely treatable. It's not fatal. And with a low-dose chemo pill for the rest of his life, my father will die with the cancer instead of the cancer. So that's a good thing. But, chemo is a poison, and it doesn't make you feel very good. While he hasn't lost his hair, and he's still able to putter around and do his work, time in the heat does take stuff out of him, and it really messes with his diabetes. As a diabetic myself, I know exactly what this is like. When your blood sugar is going up and down, it takes a lot out of you. And also the heat does a number on diabetics as well. So for our 2019 trip, my father he absolutely did not want to get the DAS Pass when I suggested it to him. He didn't want to be treated any differently. He just wanted to be normal, which I understand. He begrudgingly agreed. And when we got to Walt Disney World, we went and applied. I mean, you just had to start to say cancer, and it was immediately approved. I mean, there was no questions. Plus, he had his Vietnam vet hat on, and people just, infer that, yeah, there's disability here. So we had a really great time. Now, one of the things that I will mention, this is the first time that I was with someone that had a DAS pass since I was diagnosed with diabetes. A reminder, again, the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, considers me disabled because my pancreas doesn't work. I got to inject myself with insulin here, and so I have rights to accommodation as well. But because at that time, you could only have one person in your party that had the DAS. I didn't get one myself. So everything was controlled by my father. If he decided that he wanted to go back to the hotel, we were going to be standing in line. But that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. I can tell you that the Florida heat does a number on me. Just walking, trying to give myself just enough insulin to stay out of diabetic ketoacidosis, DKA, while not plummeting to the depths of blood sugar hell. It was a really hard balancing act. Just managing takes a lot out of me. So the DAS pass was a real blessing. We were able to stay out of the heat, stay in a cool place, rest, relax, let our blood sugar get back up, and then when our time came up, we were able to do the DAS. And as many people said, this wasn't an avoid the line type thing. This was avoid standing in the line for the duration. And the other thing that DAS did for both my father and I, who are both on insulin, is it meant that at breakfast, we didn't have to eat all sorts of carbs to get our blood sugar up. Often when I know I'm going to be walking, 30,000 steps in a day, especially in the heat, I have to get my blood sugar up to about 18, which I think is 340. 324. It's a legit tactic. This is what diabetics across the world do in order to exercise and do activity, but it's not without consequences. For me, myself, if my blood sugar goes up that high, I get a pounding headache and it affects my vision. So it's not the healthiest way to deal with things, but you do what you have to do in order to get things done. So with DAS, I didn't have to get my blood sugar up that high. I could give myself a little bit more insulin, and life was great. Needless to say, our 2019 trip was great. It was very memorable. We had lots of memorable moments, and I look back fondly. So now let's fast forward to our 2022 trip. It was very noticeable that something had changed from our 2019 trip. Cast members weren't as friendly. They weren't as helpful, and they kind of felt like they were walking around with a chip on their shoulder. Just like in 2019, we were able to walk up to one of the blue umbrellas where the DAS pass was located, and we were able to sign up for it. But we were informed that now we can book everything within the app, which I guess would be fantastic if it worked. I had so many troubles with that app and trying to book things that I gave up. We just went to the blue umbrellas to book the next attraction. And I will note that they acted like every single time that we were an intrusion, we were a problem, we were wasting their time. Why not just do it in the app? It really didn't feel good. Overall, it was just little things that added up. We only went for one day, unfortunately, because you still had to reserve your time in the park. And with the military tickets being bought at Shades of Green, everything was booked up. We did get in for one day after Thanksgiving, and yeah, like I say, it just felt different. It felt wrong. The Disney magic wasn't there. It was a lot of little things that added up, but there was one incident that really stands out, and because of this, my father absolutely refuses to go back to Disney until things change. We were over at the Animal Kingdom, and we had booked the Flight of Passage, which is among one of the favorite attractions that we like going to. We were sitting in the shade, watching some toddlers play, and when our time came, we went to go scan in. Dad went and scanned his card, nothing. Mom scanned hers, bling. I scanned mine, bling, but we couldn't go through because the DAS holder couldn't scan in. I could show on the app that we definitely had a reservation, it was definitely time, but it just wasn't correlating with the little scanner thing, so we couldn't go in. And the best that they could do was give us another entry for DAS 40 minutes from the time we were trying to scan in. So I think in total, where the original line, we had to wait about an hour and a half. Now we have to add another 40 minutes on that. My father was not happy. It was towards the end of the day. He really kind of just wanted to go back to the hotel, but we waited it out. So we go back, scan in, everything goes fine this time. But in the first pre-show, where you stand on your little circles and there's like some sort of scanning thing going on, where I think the story, they scan to match you to the flying creatures or a body or whatever, avatar thing. The power went out. Luckily, the generator, the emergency power did kick on, so we had air conditioning in this little box. It was full. Every single spot was taken, and we had light. It took about 30 minutes to get everything up and running. In those 30 minutes, no one came to tell us what was going on. Nobody came to evacuate us. They just kind of left us there. 30 minutes pass, and the door opens, and the cast member is trying to hurt us inside. Now, everyone is sitting down at this point, and there's quite a few more elderly individuals and some individuals that had mobility issues, like canes and stuff like that were on the ground. So they're not going to just get up like that. It's going to take them a second. And you could tell this cast member was really agitated. I mean, I understand the ride was down, people are probably being crabby and stuff like that. Nobody in our room said a word, except for, thank you when going in. But she was just really crabby. And it's just like, hurry up, get in here. We were not offered any explanation of what happened, and we were not offered any apologies. Honestly, if she would have just said, sorry folks, the ride went down, it happens, we can now continue, everything would have been fine. There wouldn't been less hard feelings, but she never offered anything. So we go into the second part of the pre-show, everything's fine, we get on the ride, everything's fine. We get off, again, when we were leaving, no apologies from anyone. I think we saw like 3 cast members on our way out. Nothing. No offers of a lightning lane in order to, fast pass on another ride, because literally we were sitting there for 30 minutes. Nothing. And it was just at that point that we kind of looked at each other and was like, this has no Disney magic. We don't feel welcome anymore. We're not coming back. Now, parallel to this, since Universal didn't have a reservation system at the time in 2022, and they still don't, we spent 2 days over at Universal, where we usually only spend 1. And honestly, in hindsight, we wish we spent a couple more days, because it was fantastic. Everything went well. We did get stuck on, I think it was Transformers, and it was only about 10 minutes. But when we were coming off, they were apologetic and handing people skip the line passes. We went on with our day. One of the most noticeable things between Disney and Universal was my father. He, like I said earlier, he walks around with his Vietnam veteran hat, and this will cause chaos wherever he goes, especially in the state of Florida, where, we're Americans, we love our military, and we love thanking our military for their service. At Universal, I swear, we couldn't make it 10 steps without somebody, whether it be a fellow guest or an employee, stopping my father to thank him for his service. And, it felt very respectful, and kind of felt like Universal figured out how to tap into that Disney magic that Disney was just throwing away. Disney was just... Compared to Disney, we had one person come up to my father and thank him for his service. Now, I realize that there's a lot of foreigners, and a lot of times people from other countries don't understand, I'm not going to say obsession, but our adoration of our military. In other countries, like here in the Netherlands, it's a job. It's something that people choose to do. It wasn't like my father going off to Vietnam because of the draft, where he didn't really have a choice and went and served the country anyways, and then continued to serve our country through the military and the National Guard up until retirement age. That is something that we respect greatly in the U.S. So there are a lot of foreigners, people from other countries at Disney, but there was also a lot at Universal. So that doesn't really explain why there was such a difference at Disney versus Universal. I don't know. And even at Universal, like say employees, managers, food staff, it didn't really matter. We were pausing so much for people to come up and thank him. Like I say, it was really great and fantastic. So now we are caught up to today in 2024. One of the things that I was actually planning on doing this year was to go to Orlando in the fall, hopefully hit up IAAPA. Unfortunately, the growth of the website is slow enough that I wouldn't have been able to get a content creator pass. That's okay, there's always next year. But I was going to do IAAPA and then hit up as many parks as possible and get content and experience for reviews for the website. Needless to say, because neither my father or I will qualify for DAS, I kind of decided to wait until next year when Epic Universe is open. You know, that's something I'm really excited about, especially after our 2022 experience at Universal Studios. I rather spend my time and money at Epic Universe than Disney. As a matter of fact, I really could care less about Disney at this point. And let me be clear, my decision to not go to Orlando this year doesn't really have to do with the fact that I'm not going to qualify for DAS. Especially since the return to queue would be great for me as an accommodation if Disney was actually serious about it, but they're not. I'll make a separate video about that later, about my opinion on their return to queue and other accommodations. The biggest reason that at this point I couldn't give a crap about Disney is the way that they're treating my fellow theme park freaks. It makes me incredibly sad and really, really pissed off that Disney is allowing their employees to treat the disabled community with indifference, belittle them, make fun of them, and stress them out. I have absolutely no idea why Disney is allowing this, but that is the main reason that I couldn't care less about Disney and I refuse to write about them at this point. I just don't want to. So, those of us with disability already encounter a lot of ableism and discrimination in our day-to-day lives. I think we can all agree with that. If you are able-bodied and you don't know what I'm talking about, here are some examples from the community that is talking about their experience with trying to get DAS, their screening. So, individuals have been told by so-called medical professionals that adults can't be autistic. Yeah. I don't know where they got their medical license. Probably from a Cracker Jack box? Cereal box? I don't know. Potential guests have been told they're not disabled enough. People are being told they can't have PTSD if they haven't served in the military. I mean, there's law enforcement. There are firefighters. Hell, there's people that have gone through traumatic events. PTSD doesn't care whether you're in the military or not. This is my personal favorite. Parents going solo with their minor children have been told to leave their minor child in line, go take care of what they need to come take care of, and come back to their minor child. And when I'm talking about minor children, I'm not talking like about a 13 or 14-year-old. I'm talking about like a 5-year-old. I mean, mind blown. You can't make this up. You seriously can't make this up. And I'm a pretty creative person. I would have never thought that this even could be an option. Guests with stomach issues like IBS have been told to just wear a diaper. And some have been told, and this is ableist as hell, they have told if they can't tolerate crowds or heat that they shouldn't be going to a theme park in Florida. I mean, yeah. And the disabled community that is talking about this, the people who have had this happen to them, are being told that they're lying and making this up. This is stuff that you literally can't make up because nobody would even think that you're going to tell a disabled person this. If you start searching on the internet and across the different socials, you know, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you're going to find a lot of influencers and content creators talking about this. And news sources, news sites are starting to pick this up about people with different disabilities being denied. So there's plenty out there. So that is why you're not going to find a whole lot of Disney-oriented stuff. I have a year pass to the Efteling, which I have been utilizing to get a lot of content, and I've been writing about that. I went to Phantasialand earlier this year. I went to Europa Park earlier this year. I'm going to be going to Movieland Germany towards the end of the month. I'm going to be going to Wallaby Holland Hopefully I'll be able to go to Walibi, Belgium this year, and several other theme parks. So there is a lot for me over in Europe to focus on. And of course, there's also a lot of parks in the US once I go back that I can focus on as well, that will treat me as a, ADA approved disabled person with respect and dignity if I need the accommodations. So yeah, that's where my focus is going to be. I'm really sorry that I had to make a video like this, but I want my voice to be heard. I also want those who might be looking for information on Disney parks and attractions to understand why I've stopped covering them for now. So I'm headed to London at the end of the week. So because it takes me about 3 days to pack, I'm going to go and start doing that. So until next time, thank you so much for watching.